Florida Panthers head coach Paul Maurice may have unlocked a cheat code that could win the Florida Panthers the series. We'll go over that in just a minute. And Bobrovsky, big Bob, the wall, standing tall in between the pipes. Man, did he come up big last night when the Panthers needed him to. And the Panthers defense has been nothing short of just incredible in this series. But last night, was a whole nother level on how they shut down the Toronto Maple Leafs offense completely. And yes, like I said, they got a little bit of help from the man between the pipes. Guys, thank you for joining me on this episode of Panthers Digest. I'm your host, Greg Andrews. Subscribe down below, hit that button so you guys can stay in the know with anything and everything that has to do with your Stanley Cup defending Florida Panthers. Man, we got a lot to get to on this one. I'm a little out of breath because I'm excited to get into this, but I'm also exhausted. I've got a big day tomorrow, so I might not have a video out for a couple of days. I'm having surgery. So again, just stay tuned, hang tight. I will have videos coming out a little bit later this week, but I just want to give you guys a heads up for that. But yeah, again, subscribe, like, comment, share, please. When you do comment, be respectful of one another. And if there's anything you want me to actually bring up during these episodes, please feel free to share that and I will research it and I will discuss it. And again, I'd love to hear from you guys. It's wonderful to get your comment and your feedbacks about these episodes. So, what a game last night. My goodness, it was entertaining, and we saw vintage, if you want to call it vintage, Florida Panthers hockey from last year when they won the Stanley Cup. I'm not saying, hey, we saw the Florida Panthers, go back and get back to the Florida Panthers hockey. That was Panthers hockey from last year when they won the Stanley Cup, not this year's Florida Panthers defending the Stanley Cup. We saw last year's team last night, and it was incredible. That defense was unbelievable, guys. Let's just jump right into it. Here we go. Panthers displayed that championship pedigree last night with a big Game 4 win. I'm not going to call it a statement win, really, because it was very close. However, on the ice, when I say very close, I'm talking about the score, but when we really look at it, the Panthers ran away with it. That was probably one of the most comfortable one-goal leads for a majority of that game that I think you will see in a hockey game anywhere. And in several years, I would say. From what I was watching, every time Toronto got the puck, there was a few moments there, but it wasn't like every single moment of the game like we were from games 1 through 3 that the Panthers ended up getting a lead. You're biting your nails. You're at the end of your edge of your seat saying, oh my God, are they going to be able to hold it? Are they going to be able to hold it? Last night, that Panthers defense was unreal. They really held down the fort at Amerant Bank Arena, and they kept the Toronto Maple Leafs at bay offensively. Whew, wow, man. It was wonderful to see as a Panthers fan. I know Toronto Maple Leafs fans, you guys are getting frustrated, but heading back up to Toronto for game number 5 on Wednesday. So these are the stats from the game. The Panthers outshot the Toronto Maple Leafs by 14, 37-23. Those 23 shots from the Toronto Maple Leafs, don't let it look as, hey, that's still 23 shots. It didn't feel like they had that many. They had some good scoring opportunities. The breakaway that Nylander had, that Forsling actually caught up to him and made an incredible defensive play where Bobrovsky was actually able to cover up that puck. I mean, what a great hustle play by Forsling. But I mean, it wasn't as close as you see here on paper. So hits, there were more for Toronto than they were for the Panthers. I'm going to talk about the hits in just a second, but let's keep going on here. The face-off win percentage, I also want to talk about that. Toronto ran away with it. They usually do in most of these games. It was a little bit closer in the last game, but this one they ran away with it. But Barkov, the best thing here was that Barkov's face-off win percentage was much higher in this game at 57% compared to the last 3 where he was just being dominated in the circle and they needed him to win those big-time face-offs, which is one of the reasons why, especially on the power play, they were able to control the puck and get that power play goal that put them in the lead and holding that 1-0 lead for most of the game. So 1 for 6 in the power play, okay, but hey, our penalty kill, has been nothing short of spectacular. They've been shutting it down on the Toronto Maple Leafs, still doing what they've been doing. They're not going to change a thing with that. They've had those line changes that Paul Maurice, and that's that cheat code I was talking about in the beginning. Those line matches with the Toronto Maple Leafs, how Paul Maurice is throwing them around a little bit and creating these mismatches with the Toronto Maple Leafs. He's not having his first line having to skate all over the place, use up all their energy, get tired as the game goes on, and essentially running them ineffective as the game progresses. He's being smart. He's matching up, second line with Toronto's first line, who and because our second line is a little bit quicker, he's also throwing out Marchand's line with Lucianen and Lundell, who are skating all over the place. I mean, I've said this already. That's the best line in the series for the Panthers right now. They have been nothing short of incredible with scoring goals, defense, everything. And Brad Marchand, thorn in the Maple Leafs side right now, and he had a big birthday too. And I think that's one of the reasons why, even though he didn't score a goal, he still was effective on the defense, and he was getting in the heads of those Toronto Maple Leafs players. And we look at the block shots: 18 for Toronto, 12 for the Florida Panthers. I said this already. The Panthers need to be blocking more shots. 12 is not that many, but hey, it's enough. And some of them happened at big times that helped Bob out in terms of those pucks. Had they gotten through, who knows if they saw the back of the twine. Well, we could all speculate if we want to. But as we move forward here, these are some of the interesting stats coming from Jameson Olive, the Florida Panthers beat writer. Florida is 24-0 when leading after 2 periods in the playoffs. Undefeated. Great number to look at. Let's hope it stays that way in the series, but let's hope they hold a lead after the second period. Verhady, 5th career playoff goal versus Toronto. That's big. Ekblad had a team high 25 and a half minutes on the ice. And I want to note that Jones, his numbers were down tremendously. He only had 22 and a half minutes on the ice last night. So he had a little bit of a breather, which was good. I know he had a couple of moments there where he kind of got caught up in his own skates and had created an on-man rush for Toronto. But he has been such an integral part of this Florida Panthers defensive line that has helped them hold the Toronto Maple Leafs in the last 2 games. He has been great, but he needs to be careful when he's throwing his body weight around. He is a big guy, but it looks like Toronto, though, your defenders have been kind of getting the best of him lately with a couple big hits that have happened on him in the last couple of games. Bennett had team high 8 hits. He was super physical, as he always is, and Florida led 26-13 in the 5-on-5 scoring chances. Big disparity there. So let's keep moving forward, guys. Sergei Bobrovsky, shutout, stopped 23 shots. Awesome. We're back at 2-2 in this series. Not back at it, but we are at 2-2 in this series. It is tied. But the one thing I will say, when the Panthers start getting on a roll like this and their defense starts to step up and they are starting to play like the Panthers from last year, that is something that I think every Panthers fan should be kind of raising an eyebrow to in a good way, being like, okay, here we go. We're starting to see the team turn things back to where it was last year. They're playing great hockey. They're meshing. The chemistry is there. They're starting to understand the game that is theirs that they want to play against this Leafs team who is fast. They are scrappy. And man, they have been doing a great job. And yes, I'm complimenting the Maple Leafs right now. They've been doing a great job on their forecheck and getting those odd man rushes and been pretty consistent putting the puck in the back of the net in those chances. But last night was not one of those games. Bobrovsky was big. He was just standing on his head last night too. I know Wall technically had the better game. That's why the crew that was calling the game for the intermission reports was saying how Wall probably the best game of his life that he's played because of some of the stops he had were incredible. But Bob had some great ones too. Don't discount the fact that Bobrovsky did have the shutout. He did have 23 stops. He got the win. But Wall did have an incredible game, to say the least, guys. And 8 different players on the Panthers have 8 points this postseason. No other team has more than 4 such skaters. That is an interesting stat if you really want to look everything and buy like these big, deep numbers. To me, I thought that was pretty cool to look at. I'm not going to get into detail about who the 8 players are. If you guys want to research, please be my guest. But I thought that was a pretty cool stat to tell you guys about. And one thing I want to tell you guys, the Leafs fans who've been super cool, leaving me really nice comments, and then other ones who've been a little bit more rude, a little bit more attacking the Florida Panthers, attacking my opinion. And again, it's my opinion. Please, guys, don't attack me for it. I'm just trying to state things as I see it, and I'm entitled to it as you are entitled to your opinion. But again, Let's be respectful. I am not dogging anyone. I'm not downing anyone. I'm never going to do that. That's not who I am as a person. So please be respectful. So that hit with the waning seconds of the game that clearly the Panthers we're going to win the game with what, 3-4 seconds left on the clock. Domi comes up, cheap shots Barkov right in the back, head goes right into the boards. He did get a fine, the heftiest fine you can get by the NHL at $5,000. Who cares that he got a penalty called on him because the game was over anyways. But still, really dirty play. I know that was out of frustration, but the Ekman Larson hit on Rodriguez, and Rodriguez right now, we don't know what's going on. There is no word on from him being evaluated what is going to happen if he will be there for game number 5. But that hit too was a blindsided hit. They had a 5-minute major, then it went down to a 2-minute minor for interference, but it was pretty close. I mean, Ekman Larson got his shoulder up near Rodriguez's head. I think it could have gone more of the way of that 5-minute major, but that's not my decision to make. That was the referee's decision to make. And for all you Maple Leafs fans who were crying foul about the Panthers being dirty, this is the game of hockey, guys. These hits happen all the time, and you can call it as you see it. You can give your opinion. This is going to happen in the game, but the Domi hit, that one, I think was you guys could even agree with me. That was dirty. You don't go up at the end of the game like that when you're going to lose, and then you cheap shot a guy in the back and send him into the boards. That was dirty. That was dirty. Of all the hits in the series so far, that's probably the most illegal one that is literally the most deliberate when you look at it. Clear as day, came right in there. He knew he was just gonna put Barkov right into the boards. Thank God Barkov is okay. He'll be fine for game number 5 on Wednesday, so that's good news. But guys, don't call the Panthers dirty. They're not. They're not a dirty team. And I want to give you an update. I did see earlier today on X that there was a neurologist who posted about Anthony Stolarz and how he still has not seen the ice. He made a comment stating that there were 2 specific hits that happened to him in the game that probably created what everyone is believing is a concussion. They have not released a statement on it yet. So again, I'm not going to say that it is, but when you're puking on the bench like that, you probably have a concussion. So when they come out with what has happened to him, I bet you that is what they will say. There were 2 instances. They said the puck to the face. And again, those helmets are not made like football helmets because even football helmets don't have enough padding in them to have a player not get concussed after a big hit. A goalie mask is not super thick with padding that will keep them ultra safe from getting smacked in the face. I mean, if you're getting hit in the face with an 80-mile-an-hour slap shot, you're going to feel it. No matter if it hits you square in the face, if it hits you in the side, it's still going to do the same thing because that force, just in physics, it's going to knock you back a bit. That was probably the precursor that started the whole kind of pre-concussion symptoms, excuse me. And then he did get nudged by one of his own players. I can't remember where I read it, but they said I saw the video. There was one Toronto Maple Leafs player who was going in front of the net, and he got an elbow into Stolarz's head, but it wasn't anything serious. Again, he stayed in the game. He said he was fine. And then the Bennett elbow that everyone is saying, which again, I still don't believe it was an elbow, and that's why the league ruled nothing and no discipline, as well as nothing was called during the game. But what I'm trying to say here, guys, is we can speculate all we want. The calls are the calls. It is what it is. But don't call the Panthers dirty when your team does similar things. Especially the Domi hit, like I said, that one was blatant. It was obvious. It was clear as day. The other ones, not so much as clear. When you're throwing an elbow and you're like doing MMA style, those are clear. But if they're not like that blatantly obvious, don't call it, guys. Don't do that. It's the game of hockey. It's physical. Things happen, and we just have to understand that and take it as it is. It's so fast-paced. It is physical. It is in your face. These guys scrum, they scrap, they throw sticks around. Come on. Let's be real here, and let's be respectful to one another, and let's just call it as it is. Don't say the Panthers are dirty when your team is doing the same thing, and guess what, guys? It's only going to get worse. This whole series, game 1 through game 4, has gotten ultra physical. Every single game has just gotten more and more and more and more. It's been unbelievable to watch. It's only getting more entertaining, and it's going to keep getting more entertaining. All right, guys, let's talk a little bit more about what the coach had to say. This is Paul Maurice on Gustav Forsling stopping Nylander. Great skater, big tank on him. He can handle big minutes and also pretty impressive burst when he needs to. He earns it. He works so hard. Each year he becomes a more and more fit man. He loves him. I love Gustav Forsling. His plus minus is always off the charts. That's why he's one of the better skaters on the team, and they have him out there for the big shifts. So I love that he said this about Gustav Forsling because he deserves the credit. That was a big time play and a big time moment on a breakaway for a player that has been a thorn in the side of the Florida Panthers in this whole series. This is Paul Maurice on the whole team's play in Game 4. Thought our gaps were good. Forwards did some really fine work allowing that to happen. Dynamic team in Toronto. So if you don't do enough work from the goal line to the red line, you put your defenseman in a really tough position. So I thought our forwards allowed the D to play as well as the D did. And that is the biggest storyline I think of this whole series has been the Toronto Maple Leafs inability to, especially the last 2 games, get past this defense, especially on their power play, how we've been able to shut it down. Our defense has been nothing short of great. Yes, the odd man rushes have been pretty consistent for Toronto, but let's not overlook the fact that this team has been playing great defense. Bobrovsky has been playing great, and they've been getting better every game. So here's Nate shit on Sam Bennett's incredible goal when the two defenders in Tanev and McCabe went right over to Carter Verhaeghe. Bennett was patient, waiting for Wall to get out of position, and he stuck it in the back of the net to give the Panthers a 2-0 lead. He's such a patient player, unbelievable poise about him to be able to suck him out and get him out of the position. Talking about Wall. At the same point, the goalie doesn't have many more options, right? To have to kind of have patience. I don't know if I could have that in my game, so it's fun to watch the guy do it. And Bennett, that was a pretty incredible move. Put the brakes on, came right across the crease, had a wide open net, let the 2 Maple Leafs players fly right by. What a great play by Sam Bennett. Even the Maple Leafs fans, you got to say, that was a pretty great play by Sam Bennett. Just like I've said, that Nylander's goals have been nothing short of pretty spectacular, a few of them. And then Sam Bennett. That was more like the Panthers playoff hockey that we're used to. Tighter game, less opportunities. We didn't give up many odd mans at all. Did a good job of limiting their chances. And Bobby obviously stood on his head. So it was a pretty good game all around. And I'm going to agree, guys. I think it was a great game all around. That was probably the most solid game of this series, obviously, even though in game number 3, they played pretty well. They did have the odd man rushes and almost let that one slip away. But last night looked like the vintage hockey that they played last year when they won the Stanley Cup. It was great to watch. And guys, again, get ready for an even more physical game number 5. I'm not going to say Domi's going to have a target on his back because I think the Panthers are going to say, you know what? That's not who we are. We're not going to focus on that. Our focus is on winning game 5, not on getting retribution for a dirty hit. That's not what this team is going to do. And what are we going to see about Evan Rodriguez? Will he be in the lineup for game number 5? That's a big question mark. And I hopefully will be able to update you guys on that in the next couple of days. If I'm feeling up for it after the surgery, guys, I will get videos out, keep them pumping, and you guys keep on watching. Again, I appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe down below, like, comment, and share. Again, I appreciate you all so much for tuning into these episodes. Really, I'm very, very, very grateful for all of you for tuning in. So again, I will hopefully be back in the next couple of days with a new episode. When you do not forget to click that subscribe button. I'm Greg Andrews, guys. Enjoy the game on Wednesday. If I don't see you before that, have a good one, guys. Go Cats.